It's that time of night where we check on our baby bunnies. And I haven't been handling these guys as much as I normally would a litter because I'm limiting handling within the rabbit barn. But I figured y'all would like to see our newest litter. We got 6 broken blacks in here, a solid black, and a little tricolor. I'm actually really excited about this tricolor because she has a nose marking and she has quite a few black spots in compared to that little Charlie we had in our last litter. So really excited for her. And this little spot patterned baby, she looks like she's going to have some really nice balance on either side of this line she has coming down on that spot pattern. And although it doesn't look like we have any Charlies, so to speak, we do have quite a few that have no nose marking. I do believe we have about 4 in all in here, which is a wee bit frustrating. And then I'm always a sucker for these little solid black babies. With that being said, this is the same pairing that we got Daisy and Blueberry out of. So it's Penguin x Strawberry. So I'm super excited to see how these guys' type comes out. And I'm hoping out of the 2 that I really like, one is a doe that has really nice type. But overall, these babies are doing super fantastic. But this litter's really spicy. And I think a lot of that's due to the fact that I haven't been able to really handle them. So hopefully they calm down as they get more handling time, but it's going to have to wait until we are past our 40-day quarantine, where I'm more comfortable to handle them more than once or twice a day to make sure that there's no dead kits in the nest box. That little tricolor right there. Oh, I love that little tricolor. Really need a nice short shoulder on her. If I can get a nice full hind quarter and a short shoulder, she will be perfect for the slot I'm trying to fill for a tricolor. Before Lucifer started all of her drama, we were talking about rabbits and how cow-hocked feet directly correlate to pinched hindquarters. But when we also have them flipped upside down, to improve the hindquarter, what we also want to look at is when the feet are straight and parallel, how far apart they are. So for instance, we see this baby, she has really nice parallel feet that are pointed forward. Now what I'm saying is the distance between here is important. If you have 2 babies you're looking at and the feet are like this compared to the ones that are like this, you want to go with the animal that has the wider spread apart feet that are pointed in that forward position. And what that does is that sets you up with a better base for your depth. Because what that does is those wide feet that are pointed forward open up those hips, giving you a wider hip base, increasing the depth. Because remember, when it comes to depth, we want a rabbit that is as wide as it is tall in both our commercial and our compact breeds. Because we want them to be thick. You can kind of see it with this baby. Not only is she cow-hocked, but when you look at her depth on top, she's kind of pinched in there as well. She's not as wide as she could be on that hip base. And that's because not only are her feet in a little V, they're also very close together. So remember, forward-pointing toes that are nice and far spread apart. That gives you the most ideal hip type. So Cookie's just chilling with her mini Rex Foster family, but there's something I really wanted to point out. Take a look right there on Cookie's chest and towards her flank. She has these gray hairs starting to come in. And that's because Champagne's babies are pure black, but they start shedding out into that really pretty gray color as they get older. So here within the next couple of months, she'll start shedding out to look like Belle and Moose. And it's super cute because the last thing to shed is their face. And they start looking like they have little like superhero masks. It's such a cool experience to see, and I am so glad we finally have a Champagne baby to watch grow. And with Cookie just turning 5 weeks old, I am happy to announce that Cookie is in fact a girl. Or at least I think she is a girl, and I am sure enough to announce it. So yeah, our little baby is starting to champagne out. But she's in here with quarantine with all of the other rabbits just because they were sitting underneath the cage that Lizzie was in. So this is just a precaution, and everyone's doing really well. But I gotta go in, change my boots, and wash my hands. But Cookie is just looking fantastic. I swear TikTok is on one. I have tried to answer this twice from both my main and secondary account, so I'm so sorry it's not popping up. But you are 100% correct in that my tricolors look kind of torted when they first pop out. It really confused me with my first round of tries, but that really weird smut color that runs along them does shed out as they get a little older. It's kind of along the same lines. If you look at my casters when they're babies, they have that gray along their side. But once they get past about 8 weeks or so, it sheds out to be a normal coat. Not something I really enjoy and something I am trying to breed away from. But when they do get their adult coats in and they start being more of their true color, it's not really a big deal. This was my last try, and it's a little harder to see because this one is a Charlie, but if you look, her orange has come in a little bit more and her black is much darker, and she doesn't have that more torted appearance. But when she was a baby, she had this really weird smuttiness going on, and you couldn't see any of her black coming in. Now, other things to look at when it comes to try is you'll see the fawn and blues. I haven't gotten any of those yet, and those look really torted at times because of how light the blue is coming in on those spots. But yeah, you're 100% correct. It's weird. And then also the broken babies with the little white ears, I think they're adorable, but they will get me in trouble on the show table. Thankfully, it looks like all of the ones that do have the white ears also have the no nose marking, meaning I couldn't show them anyway, but I do think it's cute. I had a friend who was raising broken silver foxes where all of her ears were coming in white, and it took her 3 years to breed it out of her lines, which is absolutely insane to think about. So it's another reason why when I talk about an animal that has like no nose marking or off-colored ears, I won't keep them or breed them into the program because it can perpetuate down the line and it is so annoying to fix. But yeah, again, sorry for the delay of comment. I tried to get right back to you and TikTok was just being TikTok. This morning I went out to the barn for our morning feed, and one of the babies had decided that sometime in the night it wanted to attach itself to its mom's teat and get out on the wire. So the baby was cold and wasn't really moving. He's doing a lot better now. I've had him in my shirt for about half an hour or so just to warm him up and to kind of resuscitate him, and he's been trying to suckle on my fingers, so I think it's time to throw him back in the nest box. We'll throw him back in there to kind of warm up a little bit, and I'll come out here and keep an eye on him and make sure he's doing all right. But when it comes to baby bunnies, when you find them cold and outside of the nesting box, you can always try to revive them as long as there's not blood in the fingernails. If there is blood in the fingernails, then it is too late. But we've revived nearly entire litters when they've been born on the wire just by putting them into our shirts. What else you can do is you could try warm water bathing. And what you do is you put the kit in a plastic baggie and then you float it in warm water. I don't like that method as much because you have to babysit it, but putting a rabbit in your shirt or in your bra gives them the perfect amount of heat to warm them up without frying them. But we'll continue to check on this little baby, make sure he's doing good, and that mom feeds him this morning. That horse is gonna kill someone. That horse is crazy. All this horse is gonna do is eat through my boot. I'd really appreciate it if she didn't, though. What you doing? Hey, psycho, what you doing? I guess she could also run me into the side of the barn that's too short, but that's about it. So when we go to show, we don't just take one animal. We can take up to like 10 at a time. The last time we took, I think, 6. This is one of them. This is Wiley. Wiley got a best opposite. And at previous shows, he has gotten multiple best of breeds. With that being said, as he's getting older, we won't be showing him anymore just because I don't like how his silvering is coming in and his fur quality. I want a much thicker coat that does better job standing on end when it comes to our silver fox. Eduardo is another one that we have taken to show. He's molting out real bad right now, but he's over silvered. I wouldn't want to take him to show now, but in the past as a junior, he has gotten 3 best of breeds. This Fatty McFatterson is Penguin. We've taken her to show multiple times. She's a little messy right now and caring for some kits, but she has won us a best of group, best of variety. Belle is another one that's gone to show as a junior. She did pretty good. I don't like her as a brood doe though. And then this hunk of large Strawberry has gone to multiple shows in the past as well. He's gotten multiple best of breeds and best of show. All of the rabbits in this cage are Strawberry's daughters. There are quite a few in this cage that are going to end up going to show here in the next year or so. And I guess my question would be for you, when it comes to our show rabbits, what do you want to know more about? Do you want to know more about the process, how we pick them, why we would stop showing them, or why we continue showing others while we keep others for breeding? What information would you like to know about these show rabbits? That little black and white one back there is Blueberry. We call her Strawberry Junior, and she'll be going to shows here next year. Hopefully she'll do as well as her father did, because she is looking absolutely spectacular for being 3 months old. But yeah, what would you like to know? As an on-the-nose, typical answer, no. Rabbits normally do not show any early signs of pregnancy. What we normally see as early signs of pregnancy is a false pregnancy or a hormonal pregnancy. So if you have a rabbit that you know has no possibility of being bred, meaning you only own one rabbit, you've had her for years, and all of a sudden she's nesting, pulling fur, gathering up hay and other supplies to make a nest, more than likely it's hormonal. If you have a rabbit you are unsure of and she's doing those things, immediately just assume she is pregnant and prep a nesting box, because those are very late signs of pregnancy and I'm getting ready to have babies. Otherwise, though, we see those actions in a hormonal pregnancy. With that being said, you as a breeder, for instance, could see some early signs of pregnancy, but they're not obvious. So, for instance, a rabbit here like Hawk. I bred her about 3 weeks ago, and she's acting just as she normally would. The only way for me to get a really good idea of if she's pregnant or not is by weight and palpation. So at 2 weeks, what I do is I'll palpate, and I'm not good enough to feel individual kits. I can just feel a change in the uterine horn, an expansion, as you will. And then what I'll also do is I'll get a weight on her. The weight of the 2 weeks past breeding should have rose a good amount compared to the previous weeks. So between the palpation and the weighing, I can get a good idea of whether or not a rabbit is pregnant. But when it comes to rabbits and if they are pregnant or not, always err on the side of caution. Worst comes to worst, you throw in a nest box with nesting material and your rabbit just prepares for a false pregnancy. And if she is actually pregnant, you have everything ready just in case. There is no worse feeling in a rabbitry than not knowing a doe is pregnant and her having kits on the wire, just because you didn't know, especially if you're buying auction rabbits. At the end of the day, it's about bettering my stock. Meaning, if a rabbit is the best in my barn and remains the best in my barn, they get to stay. But if one of their sons or daughters get better than them, they get replaced. The same would be true of a champion rabbit. With that being said, if I had a rabbit reach that level, I might be willing to sell it to another barn to further their program. Because their program might be at a different level than mine or might need something different than what my barn needs. The biggest thing is I just don't have space to have extra rabbits. I just can't keep them based on emotional attachment. My goal for all of my breeds is to make the next generation better than the last. And if I meet that goal, then the rabbit that is not as good as the rest is going to be culled. Now again, that could be soft or hard culled, but either way, it's going to be removed from the program. There are 2 ways to become a champion. If we're talking 4-H non-sanctioned shows, so you see these a lot at like fairs, be it county or state, a champion rabbit is just the best rabbit out of a group of specific rabbits. So for instance, you'll see categories like fancy or meat pen, commercial or grade. Whereas we see the term grand champion in these non-sanctioned shows used in placement of what in a sanctioned show would be considered best of show. With that being said, when it comes to 4-H, it can be a little more convoluted because it's kind of dealer's choice and the shows can kind of make the rules. Now, if we were talking sanctioned shows by the ARBA, it's a little more solid in what is considered a champion or a grand champion. When it comes to the ARBA, a grand champion rabbit is a rabbit who can be registered who has won 3 legs. And with these legs have to be won under 2 or more certified ARBA judges, and 1 leg must be won when the rabbit is of intermediate or senior age. And when it comes to a leg is defined as such: an official leg certified by the show secretary. And that leg will only be certified if there are at least 5 rabbits within a class from at least 3 different breeders. That means even if I bring 5 rabbits, if there are no other breeders there to compete against me, none of my rabbits can get legs that day within their breed. And a leg can be an award for a best in class, BOB, BOS, or BIS. And a rabbit can only get 1 leg per show. With that being said, if you want to read all of the regulations of what you have to do to register a grand champion, here it is off the ARBA site. When it comes to my rabbits, I might someday get a grand champion with my Rex or my mini Rex. But when it comes to my Champagne d'Argent, my Silver Fox, and even my Californians, I will probably never get a registered grand champion. And that's because when it comes to shows, I would have to go to convention to even think about getting a leg because of how few breeders we have within our state. So it can be a little frustrating at times. With that being said, I'll still end up going to shows even with my more rare breeds.